Final score at Celtic Park, Celtic 4, Kilmarnock now, and Celtic get the title defence off to a cracker with a really confident win at Celtic Park. This is Tino with the Final Whistle Show, joined here for this one by James. James, your take on match day one?
They were just brilliant. They were at it from the first minute. My biggest takeaway from today is this is a team that really knows now how to play Rodgers' system. They were so slick. There's real kind of almost telepathy between players in terms of, if I'm here, you go there. There was loads of blind passes, which is, only a team that knows itself and knows its system can do that. I just thought they were brilliant today.
Do you know, the signing aside, we're not going to talk about signings on this show, or certainly not for any great length of time. We'll catch all of that on the weekly shows and beyond. And what you do have with Brendan Rodgers at the moment, James, is a team that they do look like they really understand what the manager wants from them.
That is it, it's the second season for most or all of these players, really, bar Schmeichel, to play in this system. So they've been paying attention. You saw it was coming together last season. I mean, certainly the last 25, 26 games of the season, maybe that was as much to do with determination and will to win than it was system. But you could tell they were starting to really understand it, and now it's just all there.
Yeah, 100%. Before we kick on, James, just a quick hello to the various folks that are currently joining us on the live, including Michael Allen. Michael's a new member, so hello to Michael, to Sean, G-Doc, Houdini, Paul Allen, and various others. Great to see you here as always. If you do want to be sure to put in your comments and questions for myself and James, and we'll try and get them between now and the end of this recording. Throughout this season, we're going to make sure that the pre and post match shows, the final whistle here and the countdown to kick-off, they'll be 30 minutes for you, just so you can get your plans in place for when they're around. So 30-minute shows pre and post, and this will be one of those here this afternoon. You do need to be subscribed to the channel. Obviously, that's free to comment here on YouTube. James, let's look at the starting 11. Obviously, the one omission was Daizen Maeda. He struggled to shake off a knock from one of the games out in the US. And it was a good chance for us to see, I suppose, old and new, Nicholas Kuhn fairly new to life at Celtic, and James Forrest in the other wing, a guy we know all too well. What did you think of the lineup in general?
I think it's quite a straightforward lineup, bar Jamesy and Palmer. Can't remember if yourself and Bridal went for Jamesy in the pre-match. You'd have to say that it should be Palmer. He should be the guy chapping the door.
Yeah,
Jamesy's the elder statesman of the team. So that's the only one that sticks out. Everything else picks itself. Bernardo's not quite system fit, maybe as much as match fit. He'd done a full pre-season with Benfica, so he'll be fit, but just maybe not enough game time. But I thought it was a bit of a clever inclusion of Rodgers to say, I'm still starting with James Forrest. As great as Jamesy was today, and will continue to be. He's just a really dedicated servant, but that shouldn't be the case. There should be a signing in there, or there should be somebody able to step up.
Yeah, I think Rodgers playing James Forrest today throws down the gauntlet to Palmer or Yang if Yang still thinks he's in there.
He's more of a right winger. I really do. I think he's left.
Yeah, and there's a Mikey Johnson who's also on the bench at this moment in time. I think what you'll see, James, between now and the close of the window is a real change. Of course, we want to see some improvements to the 11, and hopefully that's the case. You'll see a real change to the strength of Celtic's bench as well. There's some mixed options on the bench today, and I think you'll see it really strong moving forward. But James Forrest, if he's the man in form, if he's the best guy for the job, there's people that roll their eyes and go, yet another season, we're starting with Scales and Taylor at the back and James Forrest out left. At this very moment in time, Brendan Rodgers' job is to pick the best players available for the job on the day. There's hopefully improvements to be made, but his job is to pick the guys who are fit and firing and showing them in training that they belong in the park, and that's what he's done, hasn't he?
Yeah, but there's two jobs really. There is, of course, the job on the day, but fans get vexed because they're thinking, when we step up a level and we get into Europe, is that going to be the case? So I can understand fans' frustration. I share it myself. But as for today, more than good enough, and he showed that. He was all over it.
Yeah. Before we get into the proper match action, of course, we've got it's Flag Day at Celtic Park, and we've got Jim Craig, Lisbon Lion Jim Craig, flying the flag. Really nice moment. Great buzz around the stadium when that happened. And obviously, there's then the full stadium tifo, the display. I'm at the game, but you were watching from home. What did it look like there? Was it impressive?
I'll tell you one thing you wouldn't have got from being in the stadium, much as I'd rather have been there with you. Jim Craig came out the tunnel. I don't know if it was his wife that was with him.
Yeah.
He comes out the tunnel, and you've come out the tunnel a few times. I have. I've never come out to 60,000 fans cheering me on, but it's always a special, feeling. And he came out and he get taken aback. Jim Craig, Lisbon Lion, just slightly taken aback. Maybe it's a while since he made that walk, And I just thought that was fantastic for someone of his caliber and prestige to still be taken aback by coming out on a Celtic Park. So that was just a great start to it all. And then they've gone out and unfurled the flag. The tifo was fantastic, great effort from the guys there, and the atmosphere. You'll get a better feeling for it, obviously, in the stadium, but it just felt quite electric.
Yeah, do you know, it's a really nice touch, for someone like Jim Craig. Jim Craig, European Cup winner, but still, and a guy who's been around Celtic his whole life, still, taking that moment in. And we've got to cherish these guys. These guys are, absolutely Celtic legends, and it's a special moment for all concerned that he was able to do that today. And in terms of the team itself, I think they started life fairly well, James. They'll have got a lift, I'm sure. Kasper Schmeichel won't have seen anything like that before. That's not been part of his football and psyche. As experienced as he is, 105 caps for his country. He's lifted the English Premier League. This is different. This is Celtic, and he'll get used to that very quickly. But how do you think the team played in the lead up to Hatate's goal, which comes in 17 minutes?
Hatate's goal, it was that one, or it was one of the other players. It was coming, and that's what I felt in the time before that. Intricate passing, really great movement off the ball. Everyone knowing where they needed to be. Some, just chances didn't quite happen, but you could tell. I think I said to you before we came on there, after 10 minutes, you were going, right, we're definitely going to win this game. It's just a matter of how many and who's going to score the goals. And that's not to be arrogant. It's just you could tell they were set up for it, and they were motivated for it. I would say I think Kilmarnock slightly under strength. A couple of guys missing at the back. I think they did makeshift their back four. They just played in Europe and got a bit of a demoralising defeat, having had a good result in the first round. So nightmare tie for them to come up Celtic Flag Day Parkhead. So all that taken into consideration. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, because there's a long way to go. But we were always going to win that game.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's been a few very decent chances. Kyogo very unlucky with one he's lifted over the keeper, and a couple of other half chances before we get to Hatate's goal. What about the goal itself? So it's Taylor with the assist and Hatate with the finish. And for a guy who might be away, there's a possibility Hatate moves on. He looked like he enjoyed himself being back at Celtic Park.
I thought he was just, on it from the word go. As was Taylor, actually. I thought Taylor was really good, particularly in the first half. The thing about just before Taylor gets the ball into Hatate, it's the determination to win it back. It's a turnover. We lost the ball and we got it right back off them, down, pinning them in, breaks to Taylor. Taylor gets the ball to Hatate, and it's just his game intelligence or his football intelligence to not just thrash a shot. He's like, well, there's a big space there and the goalie's right. I'm just going to place it in there almost. And there it was, and he's away. And he did enjoy it. I really don't see him going this window. Maybe that's more hope than anything else, but he played with a smile on his face the whole game.
Yeah, it was great to see. You mentioned Greg Taylor, and he gets the assist there. I think, so there's obviously a lot of talk about the fact that it doesn't look like he's been set up to be our first choice left back for the season ahead, and there's clearly work behind the scenes, whether that's Owen Beck, that we know that's, he was on loan at Dundee from Liverpool recently, Hugo Bueno, the left back at Wolves that we've been linked with on loan. But Greg Taylor, he's playing a very interesting position for me, and I noticed it more in the second half. He's obviously the left back in a back four, but when Celtic find themselves in possession and, knocking it about inside the Kilmarnock half, Celtic basically switched their 4-3-3 into what looks like some sort of 3-5-1-1. It's something like that. Yeah. I've seen Greg Taylor at one point in the centre forward position. So your back three comes. Liam Scales ended up left of the back three, Carter Vickers in the centre, Alistair Johnston in the right. Callum McGregor was coming very deep to take it off the back three, and so he should, so that he can go and distribute it. And Greg Taylor it was almost like he had a free roll at that point. He was, as I say, popping around the centre, going back out to wide left, and just roving around. And it looks like a very deliberate instruction. If not, he's just playing it fast and loose and doing what he likes. But it looks like the manager's advised him to do that. So whether it's Greg Taylor that's doing that for Celtic, or someone else, throughout the rest of the season. It's clear that the manager's looking at new solutions to dealing with the low block. And as you rightfully say, Kilmarnock from a fairly early stage looked like they weren't going to get anything out of this game. But it's good to see the manager trying new things. And I think some of his early games last season, this time last year, were, I think it's okay to use the word turgid, because that's what it was. We were all watching it. It looks far more fluid already. We're kicking on from the stuff on the US tour. And for a match day one to be creating a reasonable amount of chances and playing some really decent football at times is pretty encouraging.
Yeah, and I think the fullbacks are key to that. It's the big frustration. Guys were saying, it's actually easier to beat Man City than it is Livy, Killie, whatever, because the low blocks are the low blocks, just 10 guys standing in front of you. So if you're only going to have Big Vassell up front, then there's no point in sitting with a flat back four there, So do encourage Taylor to go and provide options and stretch defences and pull guys out of position. And that really helped us kind of unlock the Kilmarnock defence today. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a hello to a few other folks that have joined us in the chat. Monty, Seamus McKenna, Jim Hunter, Jim's a regular. Good to see him. Flying Haggis. As I say, any questions, any comments for myself and James over the next 20 minutes or so now, be sure to let us know. Good comment actually from Seamus. He says, Liam Scales was magic today. Greg Taylor was everywhere and Hatate was amazing. Kyogo deserved a goal. He destroyed their centre-backs. Let's talk about Liam Scales, James, because he's the man that gets the second goal. I have questioned, and I'm a big fan of Liam Scales and his attitude, but I have questioned whether he's the guy to take us forward. But for the here and now, he's done pretty well there, and it's a very decent headed goal to put us 2-0 ahead.
It's great, and it's the movement. Mayo was trying to kind of grapple with him almost, but he's a big, strong lad, so he gives a bit back and then manages to get that half a yard on him. But he's still got a lot to do there. It's a really tricky technique to get rid of a guy who's trying to pull you, get up in the air, and not just flash a header at it, anywhere. He's placing it in the goalie's left. It's a great header, and then 2-0. Then you're game over and you're starting to count the numbers.
Yeah, definitely. And we've been there at Celtic Park where you go in maybe nothing each at the break, and it can become a bit frustrating, and you don't know what the second half's going to provide. But I think from very early on today, you seen that Celtic were up for it, and they were well deserved to be 2-0 up at half time. What about Scales in general? Obviously, James, I don't know the touch map or the heat map or whatever the stats will show. I'd be pretty convinced he had more touches than anybody on that part today. It's just the way that the system operates at this moment in time. Yeah. And on that note, as much as I'm fond of him as a guy and for what he's achieved last season at Celtic, how much more impressive would it be if Celtic had a genuine ball-playing centre-half? And I say that with every respect. Liam Scales is a really good defender, a really good physical, strong tackler, wins his headers, proves a threat in the opposition box as he done so today. But if you had a real, genuine ball player coming out of defence with that ball, like a Van Dijk used to do, or somebody of that nature on the left-hand side, Celtic could be even more effective than we've shown already.
Yeah, we just need to be honest with ourselves here. He's a good lad, great attitude, but he's below the calibre. He had a great game today, and he still gave the ball away, I think, 4 times, coming out of defence. And when he's waiting on a pass, maybe it's just his demeanour, but he just looks uncomfortable, like he's really, really having to concentrate, or he's maybe even overthinking. And I don't want to kind of stick the boot in the guy. I like him, obviously, I like his style, but I think we do need to be looking at better calibre. It's not going to happen in Europe if we persevere with Scales and Taylor, as much as I'm saying I credit them both for today. It's just a different story. We can go and beat Kilmarnock comfortably with those guys, and then on Wednesday night go and take an absolute bleaching in Europe. So you need to be realistic, Celtic, and understand what your targets are.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I feel kind of bad sometimes. But it seems that we're on at Greg Taylor and Liam Scales, 2 very committed guys, 2 guys that played a huge part in last season's double, and even further back for Greg Taylor. These guys have done a lot for Celtic, and they deserve praise and credit and thanks for that. But it's also okay as a fan to want more, to want better for your club. And if we're being really real about it, I think Brendan Rodgers must see what we see, and the fact that we've been linked with so many left backs and maybe less so with the centre halves at this moment in time. But I think he must be seeing what we're identifying. Monty in the comments asks, could Nawrocki be that guy in terms of the left sided centre half?
Not in the squad.
He could be. We just don't know. I think he's struggling for fitness again, James. So he missed the US stuff. I think he picked up a niggle against Ayr United, and all of a sudden he seems to be an injury-prone defender. Now that can be hard luck. It's nothing the guy's doing deliberately, but if he can't be available to the manager on a regular basis, then you can't possibly pitch him in. So yeah, the answer is maybe in terms of Nawrocki. We just need to wait and see if he's got a future at Celtic, but it looks like Lagerbielke and Kobayashi, they'll be gone. They're left-sided centre-halves, and if the right move or the right money comes in for them, they'll be out there. So we'll need to see what happens beyond that. Half-time, 2-0, and certainly good for it, James. And we come out the second half, and more of the same to a huge extent. And the third goal is really, really clever. I think Kyogo plays a brilliant pass into the path of Nicholas Kuhn. I thought it was very good. I would be pitching him for man of the match. I don't actually know who got man of the match. You can tell me in a second. But I think Kuhn was very good. He looked sharp from the word go. He showed some blistering pace in the second half. I think it was before his goal. The time where he
played in a play for McGregor.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, he flew by guys. Somebody was saying that the chat is that he's even faster than Dyson Maeda. And whether that's true or not, he's certainly close. He showed real pace. And I'm excited for what Nicholas Kuhn can bring. But on this occasion, Kyogo plays him in with the great kind of curling ball in his path. He jukes by a couple of guys. He gets fortunate at the deflection, although the shot looked like it was going places as well. But he gets his goal, and it was well deserved, wasn't it?
Definitely. I thought it was, probably the most positive outlet we had. Just always looking to commit. He did his work at the back as well. He was tracking back and doing what Celtic wingers need to do, but always looking to commit guys. That run when he's coming in for his goal, he's just driving at guys, and defenders are terrified of that. What do you do? Do you gamble and try and tackle him, and then he's past you, or do you just keep jockeying? And in the end, they decided to do neither, and he got his shot away. And he was, fortunate, of course he was, but I think he was going to trouble the goalie shot anyway.
Yeah. Man of the match for you, or any other contenders?
There's contenders, all right. Rio O'Reilly. Thought McGregor was good. Kyogo was very good. His movement was fantastic today. There's probably 3 or 4, but yeah, Kuhn for me, definitely.
Yeah. Who did get it? Did you catch that?
I missed it when I was watching it. They mentioned it was a bit of a mumble, and I missed it, so not sure. Maybe one of the commentators can tell us.
Yeah, maybe they mumbled Nicholas Kuhn. Maybe that's
that was it.
Okay, but yeah, 3-0, in a very comfortable position at that moment in time. Kuhn goes off just shortly after. It's Louis Palmer that comes on, and at the same time, Tony Ralston sensibly replaces Alistair Johnson, who's not played any pre-season stuff. He was out in Copa America. He was in the team of the tournament, which was great to see. He obviously done very well against Messi and co when he came up against Argentina, amongst others. But it just makes sense to use your squad. Actually, though, that as much as that's a sensible substitution, does it make sense to give Kyogo the full game, given that he is our only available striker?
No, but that is the problem. He's our only available striker. Even at 3-4-0, are you going to bring Mikey on there? Is your centre forward? Really, would I? I suppose he's played there before for Rodgers, but not well.
At 3 or 4-0, I'd stick Tony Ralston up front, and I'm not kidding. Stick anybody up front. The game is done. There's he did in the clash with the goalie, and we'll get to that. There's no point in risking him. And if there's, I'm being a wee bit flippant with Tony Ralston, but you could certainly have put Mikey Johnson there. You could have nudged Louis Palmer into centre forward. Anybody. That game was safe. There was no risk there. The bigger risk would have been Kyogo getting injured. So that was a strange move. So I'm crediting the manager with making the sensible call with Tony Ralston replacing Johnson. I didn't quite get the thinking between not putting somebody on for Kyogo.
Particularly when we only used 4 subs.
Yeah, the option was there. Yeah. Rodgers out?
Rodgers out, that's it.
I think so. A couple of other subs later on. Yang comes on for Forrest, and I thought James Forrest was very decent as well. And Odin Thiago Holm comes on for Hatate. Any comments on how those two guys, Palmer or Ralston, did?
It's funny, like at 3-0, there's a change in the game. McInnes knows it's done and dusted, and he just takes Vassell and whatever attacking options off, and he just shows it up, and that's sensible management, because you can demoralise your players, and they've got a big game coming up on Thursday. So I thought that was good management from McInnes, but as a result of that, it started to stymie the game, and it just started to get a wee bit stodgy. So didn't see as much from Yang as I'd like to have, but I think that's because of the defensive setup that McInnes had then gone for. So a wee bit, things we like from home. when you do see him, you see there's something there. You know, it does. His movement's good. He gets in the right positions. He's got some nice touches. He maybe leans towards the fancy touch rather than the sensible touch. You know, the ball he rolled in for Palmer, and Palmer ended up getting a sore one.
Yeah.
It's nice to see, but you know, would Palmer been in less danger if he just turned and played it, kind of thing? But there's something there, and if Rodgers and co can coach him to deliver, he really could be a player for us. Palmer included in that, by the way. Probably similar to home, we saw flashes, and you see there's something there in him, but not enough. So yeah, decent substitutions. Good to see them, and good to see them get some minutes in the legs.
I think it's interesting that Odin Thiago Holm finds himself getting minutes at this stage. So obviously the midfield is still, as of right now, with the reintroduction of Bernardo, it's as strong as it was last year, and he didn't feature towards the second half of last season as much as he did at the start. And the fact that he's now getting more minutes means that Rodgers thinks there's something with this young guy. And he did. I think he laid down the gauntlet for him and who was it? Boston Lawwell. Yep, he said the two of them need to show more. They need to prove themselves. But he must be doing something right. I don't think you get minutes for nothing at Celtic. I don't think Brendan Rodgers gives guys sympathy minutes or, go and get yourself 10, 15. I think you need to earn every minute on the park, and that should always be the case. And I think the fact that Thiago Holm is featured at some point today, and Yang, and Palma as well, he's saying to these guys, okay, I think you've got something, over to you to show me exactly, why you should be part of the future plans. So we'll see how that all plays out. Let's talk about the Palma foul, because it is a nice interchange between him and Odin Thiago. And yes, it's a fancy flick from Thiago, which I think is through the guy's legs to get to Palma. I heard it on the radio as I left that someone says there's an angle that shows the guy really crunching the ankle, and it could have been a red.
No, it is a really sore one, and he fully extends his ankle, full roll. So he'll not be training tomorrow. But what happens is the defending player's making a genuine attempt to stretch for the ball. There's no malice in it, and as he stretches, where Palmer's foot's coming down, lands on the defending player, the tackling player, and that then hyperextends Palmer. His foot then rolls off the guy's foot, and he rolls his ankle. So it's a booking. It's nothing more than that.
Okay, so I've only seen it in real time and heard what I heard on the radio, so fair enough. What about the penalty? So I was amazed that it wasn't given. I don't know if you've obviously seen 2 and 3 angles. I've just seen what I've seen from the North Stand. It's a class free kick. It's very, very clever. It's O'Reilly with a kind of scooped thing. When I was watching it getting lined up, and I thought it's too far out to shoot. But if they got anything, up their sleeve, and it was O'Reilly and Holm that were over the free kick, it's just really clever. It's just something they've worked on, and it sprung the trap. Was it offside? Was there any hint of offside?
No,
okay.
And confirmed it wasn't, and I've seen a still. There's a guy over the far side of the box playing Killie on.
Right, so he's on. He gets the touch to take him by the keeper, and he just gets cemented for me.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at Don Robertson. I thought he was doing what we've seen recently in terms of, I won't give it, but VAR will sort that out for me. And it didn't. Did it go to a VAR check?
Went to VAR check. Rapid VAR check. Greg Aiken.
I just can't. Are they seeing something different from what I thought I seen in the game? The goalie cements him, does he not?
Yeah, particularly if you look at the angle from behind the goal. Kyogo's controlled the ball, and he's going to go past the keeper and tap it in. It's a surefire goal. The keeper's overcommitted. He's going round him. And I don't think the keeper's particularly going for him. He just gets it all wrong. And to be fair, Boyd on Sky was saying it was a penalty, but he was also making a bit of a counter argument saying, where's the goalie supposed to go? It's like, well, not through the striker. Do you know what I mean? It's a stonewall penalty, as you'll see for the rest of the season. So, if Willie Collins come in and he's the new broom at the SFA and the referees department, then get out and explain that to us, because that can't happen again. That's a penalty all day.
Yeah, it seems to be. So we'll see if there's any chat on the back of that one. Just a couple of folks brought us up to speed in terms of the man of the match. So Pork Chop Express tells us it's Hatate, as does Colin Rodgers. Colin says it's Rio that get man of the match. And in response to why keep Kyogo on so long, and I do question the value of it, Colin suggested it might be trying to get Kyogo off the mark for the season, which would obviously be a boost, but I just think it's more important to keep him fit and available. When he was cemented there, and I think it was around about the 84th, 85th minute, he was walking a bit gingerly for the remainder, so there's a couple of concerns there. James, Tony Ralston obviously rounds off the score, not a man famed for his goals, but he gets the fourth right at the death. Talk us through that one.
He scored one of my favourite Celtic goals of all time, so I'm happy to see him pop up. It was great. It was great work from O'Reilly getting into Kyogo. Holmes in there as well, and he was looking to get involved, but Kyogo gets a really good shot away. Decent save for the goalie, but Ralston's just sharped it. Why he's up there at that time of the game, we'll never know, but he's there and he's sharp. It's some angle to be scoring from through the goalie's legs. I think it's one of those, you can add it 10 times and maybe 4 times it goes where you wanted, and the other 6 it's over the bar or by the post or whatever, but it catches it really sweet, and it's through the goalie's legs and he's away and enjoying it. And I predicted 4-0, so I was delighted.
Well done to you, James. I think it's I think all 4 goals fall to guys who individually will all have taken a real enjoyment in them. You've seen it across the board. Hatate, Scales, Kuhn failing new to life at Celtic, Tony Ralston, who knows all about Celtic, but all seem to really enjoy the moments, and that can only be a good thing. And I think it's clear that Brendan Rodgers does trust Tony Ralston as backup right back, and I think most of us are happy with that. I think Tony knows his place in the pecking order. I think Alistair Johnson's an excellent right back when he's on form as well, and I think that's a fairly solid part of what Celtic are doing. Yes, there's gaps in other parts of the team, parts of the squad, but I think that's an area that Celtic seem to have sewn up pretty well. Looking at the bigger picture, James, then, so you'll take 4-0 wins at home all day long in general, but you'll certainly take it on Flag Day, particularly when you've got Rangers and Hearts both dropping points there, drawing their game on Saturday afternoon, leaving us top of the table once again. There's a long way to go. There's 37 games to go, but Celtic find themselves top of the tree. As we start to wrap this one up, what's your thoughts in general for what lies ahead in these next 3-4 weeks, regardless of what transfer activity takes place?
Yeah, the transfer window obviously is the focus, but if talking about just the football, let's not get carried away. At the end of the day, Tynecastle is a hard place to go on the first day of the season, as we found ourselves on Angie's first game for Celtic. So you can't read too much into that. I did watch it; they were poor, but I really do think Hearts might be their level at their current form, but that can change. They can augment their squad, get guys out, get guys in. So long way to go. No trophies in the 4th of August.
No, they're certainly not. It's Hibs next week. They had a sticky result today. I think they get beat 3-0 by St Mirren. They can't quite get it right.
No, and I really like the guy David Gray, and I just thought that was a bad appointment for everyone, because I don't think they're in a position to back him properly, and for him to be a success, and it taints his legacy a wee bit. I can only see that going one way, and it won't be too long. They're just a bit of a mess culturally, top to bottom kind of thing. Don't know what's going on with their ownership and all that kind of stuff, but I hope he would turn it around, but it doesn't look good. But St Mirren, conversely, do look really good with their result during the week, and then getting off to a flyer there, second top of the league, only in goal difference, so delighted for them.
Yeah, James, David Gray will always be a hero to me for what he brought summer of 2016. What a result that was for Hibs Scottish Cup. There's a comment from Celtic Girl who's calling Invincibles, and it's certainly hard to see on early reflection of what we're seeing under Brendan Rodgers this time around. I'm struggling to see who's going to come to Celtic Park and beat us. Put it that way, what happens on the road's a different story. It's a very early shout, but any comments on that, James, and your own final comments for this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great target. I wouldn't be calling it, invincibles and trebles and these things are really, really difficult to do. As we've found over the years that when we've not completed a treble, and being a full invincible, not just the league, but going through the cups as well, really, really tough. But it's good to have ambitious targets, and if we want to improve this squad as we do, then you're looking at the performance today being an extra 20-30% better than that. So yeah, maybe she's right.
Yeah, it's an early call. It's a bold call, but we'll see how it goes. You heard it here first. James, thanks for joining us here on a Sunday night. Thanks to everyone who continues to join us on the live shows. We'll be back tomorrow night, Monday night, with the Celtic Exchange Weekly. I think it's a full house, myself, James, Paddy and Miff. So until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you again very soon.